Hello there. I wanted to make a video about the updated strats that are present in Lost Grotto because um, Newt's tutorial that goes over the strats and all the, for the any percent route is definitely helpful. And I think it's still a pretty solid tool for getting into the game, even if like there's some changes with certain parts of the run. But like Lost Grotto in particular has definitely seen some of the largest amounts of change, especially from the ascent from the very beginning of the level all the way to the ocean seat at the top of the castle. And so I kind of wanted to highlight the differences between what we have now versus what Newt made back then for his tutorial. So I wanted to provide a number of different routes and possibilities, but the general kind of here's the fast route that you should try to aim to learn when you're first picking up any new game plus category for this game. So I'll be going through kind of breaking it down into multiple different sections and going through each one because there's kind of several ways to do a lot of them, especially when you get to the middle parts. But anyway, let's go ahead and get started, and I can kind of break down how things work. I'm not gonna be having this be a really like exhaustive tutorial process. I'm doing all of this under the pretense that you are familiar with how the game works, that you have your controls figured out, that you are able to like do chirp boosting and BB jumps and all that kind of stuff like pretty decently, or like at some sort of level of control that you can do it. So this is not going to be a comprehensive tutorial on like how to do all those things. That can be for a future video, but for now it's just going to be focused on specifically the strats within this level, Lost Grotto. So pretty much the same start as before, like what Newt does. So you do the tricks where you try to get four tricks, so you get 2 orbs. So just like that, and then I boost forward, and I try to get a few more so that I have 4 orbs, and I kind of keep just jumping through like this, doing super jumps, making sure I still have a continuous amount of orbs. So when the camera pulls my like view direction in that way, and I can't like change it to the left or to the right while it's happening, I always try to make sure that like I have plenty of orbs. Usually I have like 4 to 5, but I like when I land here, once I'm able to turn the camera back this way, to make it really like simple and easy, basically all I do is I do this little jump and I land with a boost, and I do this BB into the wall. So this part here is a little tricky because there's a couple of different ways to do it, but I found that this is like really consistent. So what's really nice about being able to jump, and then you can hold a chirp, and you can also buffer a boost so that when you land, you boost immediately. And so the idea is, if you do this short jump, hold forward, boost, you like immediately hit like a really high speed pretty much immediately. And it's really, really helpful when you have like only so much distance, or you're trying to like not have to go super far back. So like if I miss this jump and I mess it up and do something like that, then my backup is to go like right here and pretty much do the same exact thing where I do, that, and then try it again just like that. So now you're probably wondering, when I go for this trick, what am I aiming for specifically? So you want to aim for right here. Essentially, kind of somewhere in the middle of this specific area right here. Like before this archway that happens right here. and but not too far to the left, because if you go past this corner, you'll launch into like this arch or this like balcony kind of area right here, and you'll bonk your head, and so you'll need to try it again. Um, but you wanna aim kind of like right there. I can even do like a bird's eye view on what you need to see. Like, I know the chirp kind of conceals that a little bit, but this is kind of the specific spot that you wanna aim for when going for this bounce. And the trick to this also is you want to jump like right before. Like, you notice how right before I jumped, I think it even kind of like shows this in the trail that happens, but you wanna jump just slightly before you connect with the wall, because essentially you're bouncing into this little piece of geometry, and the amount of momentum that you get from bouncing off the wall will actually put you just high enough. Usually, like most of the time, it's going to get you high enough to get up to that balcony right there. But sometimes you'll get enough height to get on that one, the one that's higher up, or even this rooftop up here. All right, so you've gotten the BB down to where you're consistently getting up to at least this spot here. And essentially from here, you have a couple of options. Well, first of all, you're going to want to at least be on this rooftop, because there's a couple different ways to go from here, but this is probably going to be the most straightforward, quickest one to do. The other one is to go up to this rooftop here, which obviously takes either a little bit more setup by super jumping from there to get up to here, or by having just a really good BB that gets you all the way up here in one go. But I will go over that here in a second. So for now, purely from here, there are a couple of ways to do this. So the first way that I've done this is by actually starting from down here, and upon landing, doing a boost. Do a chirp and boost, like you hold a super jump and then you boost as soon as you get up here, like this. And then you can boost more off that way. So that's kind of a simple, easy-ish way to do it. But I think what kind of sets you up a little bit better, because there's a little bit of a problem with doing it like this. So let me do it again. Like, boosting off specifically this roof right here is okay, because like it does get you far. Like, the goal is to get to this rooftop where this bounce pad is, because this bounce pad is going to be a very big proponent of what allows you to make this climb pretty easy. But you're trying to get to that like in a relatively straight path, but also very, very fast. So if you do this method from here like this, then you're only going to be able to go like so far. Like, you can kind of do this whole like chain of things. I am getting a little ahead of myself by doing this, but I'm kind of trying to make it a point that this entire section of climbing these rooftops really does kind of start from back here where these rooftops are. The momentum needs to be carried out from this point on to each following rooftop so that you can make the next section work. So from this rooftop, the idea is you want to charge a chirp and charge a super jump, and then you want to hold forward, because as you're holding forward and you do a boost, you get more speed instead of just doing it. Like, if you do a boost in place without holding forward first, you don't go very fast. Whereas if you boost as you're moving forward, you go way faster and way further. So that's one of the ideas that you got to do there. And one last thing that comes very in handy is coyote jumping. So coyote jumping is when you basically you do your jump very shortly after leaving the ground. So I'm first going to do a jump where I don't coyote jump, and then another jump where I do coyote jump, and hopefully that showcases the difference. So there I kind of didn't really do a coyote jump. But now I'm going to do a coyote jump. So you see how I like did that little animation for a short bit before then actually jumping? You actually have quite a large window to do a coyote jump. But it's kind of like these multiple key elements. You want to charge a chirp, and you want to let it go before you jump. And like really, like I like let go of chirp and I boost pretty much at the same time. They don't need to be in a specific order for it to work for you. But it is important that you chirp and you boost before you jump here, and that you do your coyote jump pretty much as late as possible. Like a consistency that I have found in this game is that if you want to get a lot of distance and you want to get a lot of height, if you combine doing a chirp and doing a really late coyote jump, you can reach ridiculously long distances and heights that way. So you can try to get something that looks like this. So this is kind of where you want to land. You're aiming specifically to land on just past the top of this rooftop and land right here. And it helps a lot if you do a drop, because oftentimes you might get like the incredible height and distance that you need in order to make it all the way over here, but you'll end up overshooting and completely missing this roof entirely. So if you drop right before that happens, then not only are you able to land on this downward incline of a roof, but you are also able to get the speed benefit of the drop itself and the fact that you're landing on a downward angle. So that means the speed that you're going to have from this rooftop section all the way over to that bounce pad right in the middle there is going to be pretty immense. All right, so it's pretty much the same thing here on this rooftop that's a bit higher up. Like almost the exact same, essentially. You do a bit of a late coyote jump, you do a drop, and you land on the back of the rooftop. All right, so this is probably one of the hardest parts about this initial setup that we have going on here. But you need to make sure that you time your double jump coming off of this rooftop so that you line up as best as you possibly can with the angle of that rooftop right there. Because basically, the more parallel you are to a surface when you're just about to buffer a boost off of it, the more speed that you get. So if you hit a surface at nearly a perpendicular angle, like basically at a 90-degree angle, you'll get like almost virtually no speed whatsoever. But if you hit really close to it just being flat as possible, then you get a lot of speed. So you can hit this rooftop that I'm heading towards. It being able to clear the gap where that chain is in the background really depends on your timing for this double jump, as well as like the angle that you hit this bounce pad and whatnot. But like this is like a very key element, because if it's a bit better for you to jump a little early than it is to jump too late. If you jump too late, then you don't even make the rooftop and you bonk, and then you have to like get back up, like climb back up to where that bounce pad is, and it's slow to do that. Whereas if you jump a little bit early, then you can kind of slow yourself a bit down in the air, but you won't get the full momentum that you need to make like the entire chain skip. But yeah, you're gonna have to really get used to the kind of tight timing of this double jump to this rooftop here, because it's very important. So yeah, you'll bonk. That's what it looks like if you do it too late. Yeah, there you go. So if you connect everything really well, you can make it all the way up here without even touching that specific chain section. And it's really cool. but it does require quite a bit of practice. You are not going to be getting this like every single attempt. It's definitely one of the most difficult parts about this level. So you don't need to necessarily do that. So you make it all the way up here. Let's say you don't even do the back part of the rooftop. You just land on the normal part. So like you do this, and then you like, let's say, let's say you do get stuck down here. You just jump up to here. And so when it comes to these bounce pads, there's something kind of important to know about them. And that is, you can't really coyote jump off of them as opposed to like any other surface in the game. Because the moment that you hit this and you jump, it uses your double jump. And you have to be cognizant of that. There's going to be some instances where you like try to do a boost jump off of them, and then you're like, when you are ready to do a jump, you've already used your double jump at like the very beginning. Like, I didn't do that there, but it's something you have to like be a bit conscientious of. So typically, when you're going off of bounce pads, it's best to just not let go of jump. And obviously, if like I'm holding the jump button and let it go when I'm already in the air, it does not make me use a double jump or anything like that. So you can kind of safely just go through it like that. A very basic way to be able to get up to that rooftop is you just charge a chirp. You don't need to do a super jump, and you just hold forward, boost. And then you just time a double jump, and bam, you just land right there, just like that. It's that part, very, very easy. And it's a good backup if you don't like have the speed and momentum when landing from the rooftop over there onto this one, and you're here at a standstill. Like it's a very, very easy backup. Charging a super jump also does not change your like physics properties to get up here. So getting up to this section of roof, pretty easy, pretty straightforward. And let me demonstrate, I guess, when you make it to this roof, and let's say you don't get the speed or the confidence to try to like boost off this roof, you can make it all the way over to there, and you don't even need a water rail to do so. So you do it like this. Again, very delayed. Coyote jump will get you there, and a well-timed double jump. You want to delay the double jump as long as possible. Because even when you use a double jump, it does kind of start your momentum decay a little bit earlier than normal. And you want to try to delay that as much as possible. So starting from here, you can also go from here and then boost immediately when you touch that rooftop and continue that momentum all the way to the end. Just like that. It's a bit tricky. It does take practice to be able to do it like that, but if you chain it all together, you can do this entire section very, very quickly. But at least the good news is pretty much at every single one of these points, you can, there's backups to continue doing this route that's relatively straightforward. As long as you do your chirp boosts and your chirp jumps pretty consistently. Like, you're going to need to practice learning how to do the chirp jump boost and all that, and delaying your coyote jump as much as possible, because like you're probably trying to do this gap even with water rail. You're gonna maybe struggle a bit, and you're probably gonna come up short a bit of time, but I promise you that if you do take enough time to practice it, you'll get the hang of it over time, and then bridging this gap will be extremely, extremely easy. Like it is like second nature to me, someone that's, been doing this for hours now. Okay, so you've made the gap from those rooftops all the way over to here, and now you've reached this rooftop. So this is kind of where there's a bunch of different branching pathways. I using the blue armor will go in this direction to the left. And I will talk about this route in a bit. But that is one possible path. There's also another path where you go this way, more up the middle. I will again talk about that later. And then lastly, there is a way more right side route that is optimal, but pretty difficult to pull off. That is if you go, in fact, pretty much all the way from that rooftop to over here. Let me go over the first route, which is the middle one, from this middle section on this climb. So if I get all the way up to here, starting from this position, it's very simple. You don't need to do a super jump here at all. You can just, actually, I don't even think you need a chirp. You can literally just hold forward, boost, do a double jump, and then hold boost, and you'll land off that pillar right there, like pretty much exactly, and you'll buffer a boost off of it, and then you'll make it to these roofs right here. So then from those rooftops back there, you want to try to boost off of those as well. And you can kind of do something where you like bounce on these jellyfishes to, you know, land up here. That's like a really easy way to do it. If you have water rail, you can actually water rail into this jellyfish right here, and it will bounce you while still being on the water rail pretty much all the way up to almost that exact rooftop right there. Just like that. Once you make it up here, you pretty much are going to want to do a super jump charged chirp boost. And you want to try aiming all the way over here. You can very easily land here on this rooftop, but if you do a really, really good jump, you can actually land on top of this roof, and it's pretty fast that way. Just like that. I even did like a boost off of that, but like, so essentially you go from here, you do a boost, and you immediately hold left so that you get the height that you need to get up to this rooftop. And I have already made a video that specifically covers this jump, so I will pretty much go to the next route in the middle that I mentioned earlier. Alright, so for the left side route, we're going to go here to the left, and we're going to land kind of where this specific cliff face is, and we're going to charge a chirp. We're going to hold forward, and we're going to do a boost. And then you land there, and you want to hit that rooftop right there. And it gets you up to here very, very quickly. This one's not too tough because it's really just about the double jump timing. But you land here, and then you want to, like at this point, this is too late to jump. You're gonna go definitely too low, and then you're gonna miss this. But at least the good news is, if you miss it here, you get to try again pretty much immediately in like the same exact spot that you just were. So this is kind of more where you want to jump at the right time. It's very similar to the boost pad rooftop jump that I showcased a bit earlier, going off the first series of rooftops. It's pretty much the same principle. I think you have a little bit more leeway because it is a bit of a larger rooftop, but you're coming at it from a very particular angle at pretty high speed. So you still need to time it well, because actually if you go too early with the double jump, you'll like touch the top of this without hitting the rooftop itself, like any of these like shingles. And if you only touch this jellyfish boost pad, then I don't think you, like, your boost doesn't actually come out, and then you won't make it all the way to that rooftop over there. So that's something you want to definitely keep in mind. Yeah, so that's what happens if you jump too early, in fact. So it's a bit precise. Even if you don't make it to like this roof and you make it to there, it's still pretty decently fast. Because then you can like boost off that rooftop and kind of keep going. And then from here, you can do a boost jump from this rooftop. You can actually make it all the way up to this specific rooftop here that I'm pointing to with my persistent dot. But it's not as simple as just holding forward, because if you do that, you definitely will not make it. You'll bonk into it pretty much every single time. So the key to be able to making this roof consistently is you don't want to hold forward the entire time you do this jump. You want to hold a little, you want to do like a little bit to the left. You want to not hold forward the entire time. Like you want to hold forward at first for a little bit, but then you want to like tap maybe a little bit to like the left and then continue holding forward, so that way it like gives you a bit more height. Yeah, so you can make this gap pretty easily by doing that, but it is very important that you don't hold forward the entire time, that you press left or right just a hair so that you can get up to this rooftop. Again, this is going to need a bunch of practice. Lastly, the right side route when going off those rooftops is a bit nuanced, because I do believe you kind of want to start from down here to be able to make it to the gap, but you can technically do this as blue, but it's a bit more consistent to do it as with water rail. But you essentially want to go off that rooftop here, so you can make it all the way to this rooftop, and then you do a jump to this rooftop, and then you do another jump all the way to over here. So you want to aim for this rooftop here. And again, dropping into it definitely gives you a bit of speed, but if you can get this kind of downward momentum, then your goal is to make the gap all the way over to the sand over there. So I'm going to try to show the full entire sequence, because you kind of need to do this all in one go. And you're committed past this rooftop. Once you land on the sand over there, your respawn point is over there now, and you don't really have a backup to get all the way over here without wasting a ton of time. So I am going to take the time to demonstrate what it is to doing the castle skip essentially from here, but as far as a backup goes, there isn't really one for this. It's kind of a high risk, high reward route for this particular reason. Whereas the other two routes, going in the middle and going in the left, they have a lot of different backups. They have a lot of different, if you make a mistake, you don't have to backtrack really far to be able to do it again. But this one is kind of an all or nothing trick. So it's great for doing the IL, and if you get really consistent at it, then definitely you can make your Lost Grottos pretty fast in full game runs. But when you're starting out, you might not. I don't really recommend. It's definitely not beginner friendly at all. But if you want to, go balls to the wall for this one, you're welcome to do so. Okay, so that jump is particularly tricky. When you land right here, you don't want to boost, but you do want to hold your jump so that you charge a super jump, so that right when you reach this part right here, your super jump should be fully charged, and then you will do a full-blown like charge jump, boost kind of thing. But you need to jump like right before you're about to hit the wall, so that you get kind of like a boost, a jump like that. But with all that extra speed that you get from this rooftop, it allows you to get enough height to be able to make it all the way up there, like I just demonstrated. But it's tricky because you quite literally only get one shot at this. If you do not make the height, then what happens is the time that it takes to go all the way back over there and try it all over again is really long, and I don't recommend doing that. So the backup from here, basically, you want to go over to this rooftop, and you could probably just take the jellyfish up to this rooftop, and then you can continue doing the middle route like what was done before. I think even with the water rail you could like go all the way up this way, but you can't really go from over there anymore. Hell, I think you can even go over to this rooftop if you want and go up this way, but pretty much you kind of need to come over here if you don't make that jump, and you lose a ton of time as opposed to just going straight up the middle or going up the left route with the bounce pad. So with this specific section, it is pretty much the same that I demonstrated in my video back in October. I'm just gonna kind of give the Cliff Notes version of it. But basically, you charge a super jump, and you hold chirp, and you press forward, and then you boost, and you get a lot of height, where at the moment that you launch off from the roof, you want to immediately hold to the left. And you can do this in a single jump. You don't even need the water rail in a lot of instances. You sometimes need a double jump, but you make this absolutely really, really straightforward and easy by doing that. And your camera position can definitely help. Like, if you have it like down like that, or if you have it angled very, very low, either one can work as long as you like turn the camera as you're going up. Because watch what happens when I don't turn the camera. It's a little, like, you can still make it, but it's not like as clear, or it's not as, you know, much of a good trajectory. So you do need to turn the camera like some. You don't have to turn it a ton, but you don't want to not turn it at all. But yeah, you can do this as blue. You don't really need the water rail, but if for some reason, or if you're like starting out and you're not able to make this jump, then you can water rail into the roof and be able to make it up there. So something like this. You know, you just bonk into that, you're able to get up there just enough. But with enough practice, like this jump really does become very straightforward to do. And you're able to get up here very easily. Just takes practice. And then from this roof here, pretty much like, you know, you can do like a boost off of here, do a couple tricks, and then you reach this ocean seed where you obviously press the interact key, and then you start the entire cutscene to do the ocean seed. So again, going back over to the right side with this route, if you can make it all the way up to there, then you can go to this roof, and it is pretty much the exact same as the other side. It's just you approach from this part of the castle instead of it being the other side. But it's the exact same height and everything over here, just in case you're wondering if it's at all similar or not. So, yeah. This is the last part of Lost Grotto, the descent. So I'm going to first show the route, what it looks like if you have only one orb here, because sometimes you might just have one orb and you maybe forgot to get the orbs that you need before you activate this ocean seed, or whatever it may be. But essentially, you do a chirp boost, and you go off this roof right here, and then you want to land right here while doing tricks so that you get orbs from this point. And so then when you land here, you'll do a boost jump all the way over to here, and then you can land very easily right here. And then from here, you do a chirp boost with a bit of a coyote jump, do a nice delayed, wait for that double jump there, do the water rail, and you make that like very cleanly. You don't need any kind of previous speed or momentum to make it all the way here to do that. It's like probably one of the easiest and most straightforward ways to be able to make this here, you know, utilizing the water rail. All right, so now let me demonstrate the more optimal route that you're going to want to try to go for. So you're going to want at least 2 orbs here, but here's what you're going to do. You're going to do the same thing as before, doing enough tricks to get you 2 orbs, but then right before you land on this roof, and like you can kind of pretty much do this from anywhere, but right before you land on this roof, you can do a drop to get you a bit more speed, but you're going to want to actually hold the boost button so that you buffer the boost, so that as soon as you land here, you'll veer off into a direction, and you'll be going basically towards these pillars over here. That's what you're trying to essentially aim for, I guess, to make it a little bit easy on yourself. So you can land right here, then bounce off of this way, do the same exact thing as before. You can even go more to the left here and still be able to make it just fine. Now we're going to try to go down this way where we're not actually going to land on these stone pillars in the middle. We're going to go right past them. Like this, and then when we land, we do a jump like this. And you actually don't even need a water rail if you do that, because you've carried over your momentum onto that extra cliff face. So you get a lot more speed and a lot more distance doing that. So it becomes blue viable when you chain it together like that. But it is a little bit more difficult, and it does require a bit more practice. But if you're able to string it together all like that, then hey, you know, it's pretty darn fast. All right, and then the very last part of the level, once you've made the descent all the way from the ocean seed and you've gone all the way down here, it's pretty basic. You just boost in this room, you go around this way, and you do chirps as you light up these lanterns. So this cutscene plays, and then right when this ends, you can just spam boost and interact and start the cutscene, and that's the end of the level for Lost Grotto. So I hope this has been a pretty comprehensive tutorial on how to get through Lost Grotto, and yeah, here's hoping I don't have to update this again in like 6 months or something, because something crazy gets found. But you know, I'll eat my words when that happens. But yeah, this should be a pretty up-to-date route guide on doing Lost Grotto, because it is it's definitely one of the difficult levels to do very fast. But if you're a beginner, hopefully this helps you get acquainted with how the run is supposed to go and how this level can be done quickly and hopefully comfortably for full game runs. So yeah, that's it for me. I will probably do other levels in the future, but for right now I just wanted to do a Lost Grotto tutorial. So yeah, until the next one, I'll see y'all around.